Start optimizing for accessibility with Amel Mehenaoui from Puffy. Brought to you by Majestic. I'm David Bain and this is SEO in 2022. Amel, what is your number one SEO tip for 2022?
Yes, for 2022, I really think that all SEO professionals, they need to start thinking about accessibility and making the web accessible for everybody. And it's really important to think about that because we can see in the last few months, Google in 2021, Google did a lot of algorithm updates all about UX, like page experience, ranking factors, the core web vital. All these are actually related to the user experience. So by not focusing on accessibility, we are actually kind of putting a certain people aside and not helping them use the web the way they use it. So we need to start thinking about optimizing for accessibility, making the design part of the user experience for everyone. And I think from what I see, how Google algorithm is evolving, that at some point in the near future, accessibility will become actually kind of a ranking signals and then ranking factors at some point.
Interesting, because I know that it's certainly law in certain countries for you to have a website that's accessible to lots of different groups out there. So what aspects of accessibility do you envisage potentially becoming part of the algorithms in the future?
I think when Google made the last algorithm update, they really looked at a lot of aspect of user experience, so of UX. And one of the aspect of accessibility is sometimes the designers, they did design elements on the page, but they don't think about how the contrast is actually affecting, like the color they pick, they don't see how this actually affect someone who has some, disabilities or something like that. And so the contrast of the colors and the text can be difficult for those actually to be able to see the text or the design and so on. So it's really about making the design in a way where it's easy and like for the usability of the site, and I really think that at some point these are like few things that Google can pick up really easily, and we can actually currently, if we audit a website for core web vital using site performance audits tool, we can already see that Google is actually picking up some metrics for accessibility. They are not scoring them. However, they actually know how to kind of find them, how to discover those elements that are actually maybe not optimized for accessibility. So at some point,
what metrics are they actually picking up at the moment?
Well, there are different elements, but usually I see a lot of the one that comes back is really the contrast, as I said, between the text and the color elements. So that could be an easy thing to start with for us as SEO. It's to kind of work more with the UX team, and that's actually one of the beauty of SEO. I feel that we're not just doing content optimization technically, we're actually moving to user experience and also design. So and when you think about it, there's like one element of the current algorithm, the one that just came up, the page experience metrics, which is the spacing between the design elements. That's is really pure UX, but now it's affecting SEO also with the core web vital. So I'm really pretty much sure that if Google is able to kind of find those metrics, they are able to track them, to to see them as signals, and then at some point it may become part of the algorithm itself in the future update or upgrade of it.
So, are you aware of any online resources that an SEO can go to find out more about specifically what areas of their website they need to be looking at from
Yes.
an accessibility perspective?
Well, the easiest one really to do, you have the Google Speed Site Speed Insights, and if you audit the website, if you look at the last metrics, they are actually related to accessibility. There is no score for them currently. They are it's grayed out, so you can't see a score. Like if you audit a website, you will see the SEO score in the tool, in the audit tool for Google site speed insight. You can see, for example, the site performance. You can see the core web vitals metrics. But for the accessibility, you see them listed, but they just don't give you any scoring, which is really interesting because it seems that it's if it's there, and if Google is actually able to see them, it means at some point they may be able to actually add them to algorithm itself. The other tool is the dev tool. So it's so usually when you go to any website and then you click on inspect, you will see, you will have access to what we call the dev tool, and from there you can have the Lighthouse audit report, and it's the same thing. It will show you exactly the same, the same results.
Okay, that's intriguing. And what you were saying beforehand just emphasizes that SEOs in 2022 have to be multi-skilled. They have to be able to liaise with multiple departments, with front-end web developers, back-end web developers, content teams, top executives within a business team as well. And there are different ways of articulating the value of the tasks that they're currently doing, but also the tasks that they want to do in the future. Maybe touching on those different groups there, what are the different ways that you think SEOs in general can articulate the value of what they're trying to do or they want to do in order to persuade them and bring them on board so that they fully embrace the value of SEO? Which group would you like to start with?
Well, this is really an interesting question, and I think all SEO professional, they have this struggle, like you're saying, showing the SEO value to all these different teams. But right now, with talking about accessibility and the new algorithm update, I think being working closer with the UX team, with the design team is very important. And so when running these reports, like using the different tools we have access to, like as I said, the Google Site Speed Insights and the Dev tool, we're able. First of all, we need to understand it and learn about UX a little bit more, and that's the beauty of SEO. So we keep evolving in our profession. So learning about it ourselves, trying to understand why is Google actually asking us to care about UX, from a user experience. Then approaching the design team and explain that based on the new algorithm update, UX is becoming very important for Google and because of the user experience, because they want to improve that. So we need to work as a team to really kind of optimize UX, not only for the users but also for Google, because let's face it, if you were not ranking on page one and we're not getting traffic, then this will affect the results. It will affect sales, it will affect conversion, revenue. So we're just working together, sharing, because a designer may not know about what Google algorithm changes are happening. We know because we're in SEO and we keep updating ourselves and we keep following what the latest Google updates. But a designer may not know, even a developer. They may not know. So it's our responsibility as SEO professional is really to educate the other teams, like the design team, the dev team, and telling them that it's best practices. It's what Google is recommending, and then if we share those suggestions from Google, recommendation from Google to improve the UX, to improve the design elements on the page, and I'm sure it will happen for accessibility. Also to work together as a team to improve that, so that the users are taking advantage of it. And at the same time, if you give Google what Google is looking for, well, Google will reward you by ranking you on page one, for whatever keywords you're going after, and giving you more visibility in a way.
I loved what you're saying about internal education. I think that's absolutely key. Certainly when you work in a big organization, if you lead an SEO department, you should be looking to do things like hosting a monthly session for anyone from the company to come along to and just be a little bit more educated about what SEO means nowadays versus maybe what their perception of SEO was like 5 years ago, because it's changed night and day, isn't it?
True. It does change a lot, which is very interesting for us. And I think, like, we, being in the SEO field for years, we knew that the user experience metric will become someday will become a ranking factor. Sometimes we just need to kind of understand the main goal of the algorithm. So once we understand that, yes, it's going to help us in our profession, and it's going to help us improve not only the ranking for the site, but also the user experience, which is the goal of it all.
So you talked about an SEO sitting down and working with a UX team. Is this something that should be done just maybe on a quarterly basis, only when they're looking to implement some kind of project to add additional items, functionality to the website, or is this something that needs to be done more regularly than that?
That's really a good question. And I really believe the success of the website will depend on how the SEO, as SEO expert and professional, we have to really work in a cross-functional way and collaborate with all teams on a regular basis. So there is, obviously, each company is different, but usually all companies have to do releases, like version releases every week or every 2 weeks, or depends. We really need to be part of those version releases. We need to be part of the QA of the entire process. Like if there is anything, actually, we need to make all the team, like all the different cross-functional teams, understand that anything that is added to the website or removed from the website can affect SEO. If it's a design element that you're adding, if it's a new script that you're adding, if it's a new content that you want to change and remove, you want to change URL structure, you want to add more images, all those elements actually affect how the website will react in a way, and it will affect how the SEO ranking of the site will be. So that's why we need to explain that it's always good to have at SEO sitting at the table during the brainstorming moments, and then before the project starts, to make sure that everything that is on the scope of work will not affect SEO. Then when the project starts and everything is implemented, we have to QA from an SEO perspective to make sure that, again, nothing is affecting the site speed, the user experience, and the ranking. Then once the changes are live, we have again to go back as SEO specialists and expert and go back and also QA again to make sure that these new changes that happened are not affecting our ranking, or from the bots perspective in a way. Hope I answered a little bit how I see it.
So it's the SEO's responsibility to ensure that when design changes are made to a website, or before the changes are made, when they're only mooted, that the design team, the UX team, actually ask themselves the question, what impact is this proposed change going to have on SEO? And if the SEO can manage to get them thinking about that question, then that's a massive win.
Yes, exactly. It's a win-win for everybody, for the users, for the bots, and for the website. So and that's what we want.
So, what are your thoughts about measuring accessibility improvements? So, how do you measure the fact that you've improved accessibility on your site? Are there metrics that you've talked about, something that you would check afterwards, or do you do things like visitor tracking or even some kind of focus groups to measure this?
Yes, absolutely. There are a lot of tools out there where you can actually have users like really go through the website and experience your website from a user perspective, and they will record your website. So one thing that could be done is to there's a lot of website out there, so I'm not going to name specific ones, but you can find users who have those, they have accessibility, challenges, and then, run a test with them, and they can go to your website, and they're going to record all their experience. So you will see it on the video afterwards. So you will see how they are navigating the website. How do they see the text and the contrast of the images with the text? The color contrast. They're going to see that. You will see it, because they're going to be recording, and you will see it from their end, if you will.
Sorry, how do you find the users with accessibility challenges? Do you know somehow that those visitors are visiting your webpage, or do you have to actually build together your own group of individuals that have accessibility challenges?
That's a good question. There are companies out there who actually offer user testing. Okay, actually, there is one company, I think it's called usertesting.com. I didn't want to say any, I don't want to, have
no, that's good.
no relationship.
Yeah,
but I have
that's
no
okay.
relationship with them. But but user testing is, for example, a company that offer services where they have different people all over the world, and then you can just tell them the criteria. You can say, I want 100 individual from the US or from Canada that have these criteria. Can you find them? So if they already have them in their system, they will say, yeah, good, we have them. And if they don't, they will work with you, and they will build that, that segment, if we will. And then they have everything with their service. So they have like a video recording, like extensions, and they have everything set up. So it's really, you don't have to do a lot. You just tell them what you need, what are, your requirements, and then you just have to, create the task that you want the users to do. Do you want them to, for example, go from the home page and then to the product page, and then to add something to their the shopping cart, and then to checkout? You really decide on the user's journey on your site, and then they have everything. So the user will record, and they ask them to at the same time talk. So you have the voice, you have the recording of their experience on your website, and you will see exactly what they are experiencing. And at every step of the actions that they are taking, they will tell you how they are experiencing it. Okay, so, and you will see it yourself. So they will tell you.
I've used it myself before. I know it's a great service.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. That's yeah. So that's kind of one thing to do, like to make it really like efficient and fast, if you want to know like what's going on your website and how it's affecting accessibility for users who are challenged with that.
Superb, great tip. Okay, so if an SEO is thinking, Amel, this is a good subject you're talking about here, and I do need to be thinking more about accessibility in 2022, but they've probably been struggling for time. What's one thing that they've been doing consistently over the last few years, just on autopilot, that they probably need to be doing less of so they can spend more time thinking about accessibility over the coming year?
Good question. Obviously all the things that we do in SEO are important, but I think we need to start thinking about accessibility more and more, and start optimizing for it before it becomes a signal and then a ranking. So one thing thing that I would recommend to maybe do more strategically and do, like, sometimes we say less is more. So to do a little bit less, but do it in a strategic way. It's really building backlinks. We all know that everybody is doing them. So, so let's do them in this more strategic way. And this just put more time and efforts working with the design team to think of the user experience on the website and how it's affecting them and how to improve on that.
Great stuff.
That would be my advice.
So Amel Mehenaoui is head of SEO for Puffy.com. Amel, thank you so much for being part of SEO in 2022.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Check out the rest of the content from SEO in 2022 over at SEOin2022.com.